Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in. So we have another Macfox on the channel. This is their brand new X7 model. We're really excited to show it to you and show you how it performs and also go over the specs and features. Of course, like any of our other videos, any discount codes or links to save you some money will be included in the description below. All right, so let's get into it. So this bike is listed on their website for $15.99. So a really good price for what you get. It is only available in the black color and it weighs 87 pounds. So not too bad, especially for the robust frame that it has. It'll handle a rider up to 330 pounds. You can get up to speeds of 25 miles per hour. So we're gonna put that to the test and see exactly how fast we can get this bike to go. It includes a 48 volt 13 amp hour battery, and they say that should get you up to 60 miles of range on a single charge. Now you do get a 500 watt motor on here that peaks at 750 watts. So this bike is not really high performance. It's basically to stay within the limits of the law and all the regulations that are coming out. So this bike should perform more than adequate and keep you within the legal limits of basically all the states that are coming out with new e-bike laws. Now you do get dual hydraulic disc brakes on here, so front and rear. So we'll see how those do while we're out riding and see how well they stop the bike. We shouldn't have any issues with those. You do get a spoked wheel here, and the rear is wrapped with a 20 by 5 inch fat tire. And this is a really beefy tire. And the front is a 20 by 4.5 inch tire. So some really chunky tires on this Macfox X7. Now you do get a nice rigid frame, which is nice to see, and this actually dips down for smaller riders. They have another model that actually will stay level, so it's a bit taller for taller riders, but this model in particular is for shorter riders. You do not have rear suspension, but this fat 5 inch tire should more than make up for it. The seat height is 31.5 inches from the ground to the seat. So if you're a shorter rider, this bike should be perfect for you. You do get a functioning rear brake and tail light, some rear pegs for a passenger, and the seat is pretty long, so you can definitely have a passenger on here without any issues. Now, as far as pedaling goes, you only get one gear on here. You get a decently sized crank wheel. It's kind of like in the middle, so not too small and not big enough to pedal. And you do have some decently sized crank arms, and we'll see if these scrape on the ground while we're going on the trails or around turns. Now moving over to the front of the bike, you get a nice front fork, and we'll see how that handles bumps and things while we're out on the trail and the road. Now guys, I love this front headlight. You have a cool little housing here, kind of like a fairing with that front headlight, which is really sharp, and we'll see how that looks in just a second. They do some great cable management with this, and you can kind of sneak it right in the back of this housing too. So really nice and neat. The front suspension is fully adjustable, so you can adjust that to your liking and your riding style. And last but not least, we love the BMX style handlebars. It should be really comfortable while we're out riding and kind of remind us of our childhood days while we were out just riding our BMX bikes on the street until the street lights went on. One more thing I wanted to point out is you do have an on-off switch for the battery, which we like to see. So when you take the battery off, or if you leave it on while the bike's sitting, it's not going to drain. And the battery is on, so we can turn the bike on. This is your charging port here, and charging should take up to about 8 hours from 0 to 100. All right, so sitting on the bike, really comfortable, really love that large seat. And you can definitely fit a passenger on the back. These bikes have always been really comfortable when we've had them on the channel. We're gonna go over the handlebars and the controls, starting from the left to the right. So the grips are phenomenal. I actually really like these grips. And these are Macfox branded, which is even cooler. And these are locking, so these are not going anywhere. You have your left brake lever along with your power button. You also have your headlight on and off switch, along with your high and low beam. We're going to power on the bike by holding the power button down on the display. You get a really nice simple display on here, so nothing too complicated. Your power button, like we said, you can click through your odometer, your tripometer, your voltage meter, which is really cool that that's on there, and back to odometer. You have your pedal assist up, go all the way up to 3, and all the way down to 0. You have your speedometer here in miles per hour, and also your battery bar. So a nice simple display on this bike, which sometimes is better than something that's gigantic and really hard to use or even hard to see. So I think this is going to be really easy to see while we're out riding. Now let's check out that front headlight, and you can see that daytime running light, the little halo there. Really nice. It's not a circle like a normal halo is. It's got these cool little bracket designs on there. We're going to turn on the low beam. It's really nice. And then the high beam. It's obviously a lot brighter. But really nice to see a nice bright headlight on here. Now on the right-hand side, you have your other locking grip, your right brake lever, along with your thumb throttle. This taillight is surprisingly bright. And if you squeeze the brake lever, it gets brighter. And guys, that is pretty bright. Unfortunately, it does not have turn signals, maybe in future iterations, but really nice to see some bright lighting on this bike. All right, so there are the specs and features of the Macfox X7. If you guys have any questions about anything we went over so far, let us know in the comments section below. We get back to everybody. So let's take this thing out and see how it performs. All right, so we're on the Macfox X7, and right off the bat, feels really good. A little cramped to pedal, but we'll get to that in just a second. We're gonna do a brake test at the storm drain here, see how it stops. Not bad for going almost 30 miles per hour. Nice to see hydraulic disc brakes on here. We're gonna do a top speed test, and they say we should get up to 25 miles per hour. So we hit just under 29 miles per hour, and you can feel it caps you off, but it feels really good, really sturdy. Yeah, the brake test definitely is making those brakes squeak. We didn't properly bed them in. All right, so let's do a throttle test, see how responsive it is. All right, so we got a 1 second delay on the throttle. As far as pedaling goes, about the same. So 1 second for throttle and pedal assist to kick in. So the bike is a little cramped depending on where I sit, but I can move farther back, which is nice with this nice big long seat. So I can definitely make myself more comfortable. Now, as far as the torque goes, there isn't a ton of torque, but it's manageable. Honestly, this is like the Super 73s, and still is like the Super 73s. And I think we've got so power hungry as far as like we want more speed and we want more torque, and it's just kind of gotten ridiculous. And that's kind of why the new laws are going into place. And Macfox has kept that in mind with this, and that's why this has a 500 watt motor that peaks at 750 watts, because most of the e-bike laws, this thing, actually probably all of the states, this thing will meet those laws. And guys, it's really bad ride. I mean, like we said, this is on par with Super 73 still, and those bikes are close to $5 grand, which is insane. This bike is just under $1,600 at $1,599, and yeah, it gets about the same performance as a Super 73, which is kind of nuts. Kind of makes you think, what are you paying for? And how Super 73 has got away with charging so much money for their bikes over the years, when you can get something like this that is basically the same performance for a fraction of the price. Now, this bike is very nimble, just like any of the other Macfoxes we've tested out. You can throw it around, and those big chunky tires are phenomenal. They just look fantastic. I mean, you got a rear 20 by 5 inch fat tire with some crazy aggressive thread on them. Not that loud, to be honest. I would think they would be a little bit louder, but we're not going crazy speeds. Now, as far as pedaling goes, you can see how high my knees are coming up. This bike is not made to be pedaled. This bike is made to be basically an electric moped just used with throttle only. Of course, you're going to have people that want to pedal, but being 6'2", 260 pounds, it's really cramped on me as far as pedaling goes. Now again, just really want to speak on how nimble this bike is to kind of throw around. It feels like you are one with the bike, and any move you make is instantaneous. Just whip this thing around, kind of reminding me of one of those Coleman mini bikes. As far as the suspension goes, there is no rear suspension, but it doesn't feel bad. I think that gigantic fat 20 by 5 inch tire makes up for it, because it's really not that crazy. It's not that harsh. And of course you get that front suspension with that fully adjustable fork, and it feels really good. It feels really nice. So we're gonna do a quick trail run here. And this bike is really quiet. You don't hear a lot of noise coming from it. So trail riding is a bit rougher as far as that lack of rear suspension goes, but it just feels fun. The bike is really planted and you just feel really connected to it. And it's nice to have an option like this with all the e-bike laws going into effect and police cracking down on them, impounding bikes, pulling people over, giving them tickets. We're kind of going back to the beginning almost with this X7. And it's nice because they've kept that look, that mini bike look, that electric moped look that Super 73 started with. And I think it looks even better than the Super 73, in my opinion. What do you guys think? Think it looks better than the Super 73? I think the price really will convince you that it looks better too. I mean, paying a fraction of the price. Guys, check that out. Super nimble. I don't really think I'm going to try that hill over there. I just think that might be a little too extreme for this bike, but decent pickup. Just a really nice option to bomb around town or even commute, you know, with the expected range up to 60 miles on a single charge. I could see you getting some really good range with this, especially with the fact that it's not power hungry. It's not really drawing a lot of power. You know, you're not feeding that controller and motor. So I think this bike will provide some good range. Like even the Super 73s, they really don't go much faster than this. So you're actually going to eke out a little bit more range than you would on a Super 73 with this X7. You have your controls for your headlight down here, like we went over, your low beam and your high beam. No indication on the screen or the headlight, but this is a really simple display, so I'm really not expecting much with that as far as functionality goes. You really see what you need and nothing more. Definitely loving this voltage meter. We're just under 50 volts. And obviously, most of the people viewing this video or buying this bike are going to weigh a little bit less or a lot less than us. You know, we are 260 pounds, so we're a bigger rider. So your performance is going to be significantly better on this bike. So keep that in mind. We are kind of pushing the limits of this X7, even though this bike will support riders up to 330 pounds. All right, so this is the hill climb test with the Macfox X7 in pedal assist level 3, but we're going to use throttle only and see how it does getting up this hill. Here we go. There we go. Kind of took a second to get started. So we're going just over 10 miles, 11 miles per hour up this hill. So we're dropping down once this hill gets a little bit steeper. We're holding steady at 7.5 miles per hour, and we're slowing down at the steepest part of the hill, but we're still going 5 miles an hour. We're still going. Come on. So it struggled a little bit up that hill, but not too surprising with this having a 500 watt motor and us being 260 pounds. You know, I'd probably put it right there with the Super 73 as far as torque goes and power getting up the hill, which is crazy. At the price they expect you to pay for those bikes, it is ridiculous. So you might as well buy this. It's going to be fully legal to ride, and I think most people will be happy. I think this is going to be a fantastic bike for most people looking for something like this. So guys, there we have it. This is the Macfox X7. You have some really chunky tires, 20 by 5 in the rear. Guys, look at how fat that is. I mean, that looks really, really cool. Sure, you can do some cool things with some fairings, fenders, things like that. And then you have the 20 by 4.5 in the front. Really aggressive thread, really aggressive look to the bike. You have that daytime running light there. Really nice headlight. It gets really bright. I love the styling here. I love the fact the cable management goes right behind that fairing. BMX style handlebars are phenomenal. That fork did a pretty good job in the trails, on the road. Also, the hydraulic disc brakes are more than adequate for a bike like this. Did a really good job stopping us. They were a little noisy, but I think it was because we didn't bed them in right away, and whatever oils or residue was on there from the factory was getting rubbed off, so we didn't hear that much towards the end of our ride. Really nice frame though. Like we said, it kind of reminds us of the Coleman mini bike. Really nice long seat. Pretty comfortable. Wasn't harsh, wasn't hard. We didn't get fatigued while riding, so really nice. Really nice and bright tail and brake light. It's cool that they include rear passenger foot pegs. Like we said, this bike is not designed to be pedaled. Pedaling is very uncomfortable. Really nice frame. Like we said, this version is made for a shorter rider, but they do have one that has a straight across bar that is for taller riders. You get the nice simple display. Like we said, BMX handlebars and simple controls with these nice Macfox grips. Again, any discount codes or links to save you guys some money will be included in the description below. And it also helps out the channel when you use those. We think for the price, this is a good option, especially with the e-bike laws changing and police cracking down on these things. If you guys have any questions for us, please leave them in the comment section below. We get back to everybody. And until next time, thank you for watching. We appreciate you. Peace out.